Hello everyone and welcome. In today's lesson we will talk about meetings, vocabulary related to formal situations at work. We will see also many verbs plus prepositions, especially we'll focus on verbs plus to or ing. Let's start. Meeting and presenting at work. Let's see. You will need to attend the finance meeting tomorrow. You will need to attend the finance meeting tomorrow. To attend the meeting is to go to a meeting. The CEO has put forward an agenda for tomorrow's meeting. The CEO has put forward an agenda for tomorrow's meeting. To put forward an agenda means to suggest what will be discussed in a meeting. Okay, now you've all been introduced. Let's get down to business. Okay, now you've all been introduced. Let's get down to business. To get down to business means to start working or doing something that you have to do. We've arranged a conference call with our French and German managers. We've arranged a conference call with our French and German managers. A conference call is a telephone call with a number of people at the same time. Let's look at last year's sales figures for this product. Let's look at last year's sales figures for this product. To look at means to begin to consider or discuss. I'd like you to give a presentation on your research. I'd like you to give presentation on your research. To give a presentation means to present a formal talk for a group of people. Our following profits will be on the agenda today. Our following profits will be on the agenda today. On the agenda means included in a list of things to discuss. John is ill, and so he will be absent from the meeting. John is ill, and so he will be absent from the meeting. To be absent means not to be present. Sanjay has been on the board of directors for 3 years. Sanjay has been on the board of directors for 3 years. Board of directors is a group of people who manage a business or organization. On the one hand, it is affordable, but on the other hand, it is not durable. On the one hand, it is affordable, but on the other hand, it is not durable. On the one hand and on the other hand means something to consider, a contrasting thing to consider. Can we have a show of hands for those who agree with the idea? Can we have a show of hands for those who agree with the idea? Show of hands is a vote performed by raising hands to show agreement with a proposal. We reached a unanimous agreement on the plan. We reached a unanimous agreement on the plan. Unanimous is when everyone is in agreement. Shall we set a date for the next meeting? Shall we set a date for the next meeting? To set a date is to agree on a date in the future. I will take questions at the end of the presentation. I will take questions at the end of the presentation. To take questions is to listen to and answer questions. Maria will take the minutes of the meeting today. Maria will take the minutes of the meeting today. Take the minutes is to write the record of what was said during a meeting. It took hours to reach a consensus. It took hours to reach a consensus. Reach a consensus is to arrive at a position of agreement. So, to sum up, we need to increase sales in this area. So, to sum up, we need to increase sales in this area. To sum up is to conclude. I think we're finished unless there is any other business. I think we're finished unless there is any other business. Any other business, A or B, means any matter discussed in a meeting that is not on the agenda. We can't discuss replacing the printers because we've run out of time. We can't discuss replacing the printers because we've run out of time. To run out of time is to have no time left for something. Let's start by reviewing the minutes of last month's meeting. Let's start by reviewing the minutes of last month's meeting. Review the minutes is to look again at the written record of a past meeting. Verbs that need a preposition. So we will see many verbs we have. They require preposition after them. Some verbs need to be followed by a specific preposition before an object. So we don't have the verb and directly the object. No, we need a preposition first. Different verbs are followed by different prepositions. Let's see the example here. The head chef used to shout at the staff. Shout at, we have a verb to shout plus preposition at to encourage them to work harder. Shout at someone يعني يصيح عليهم. Further examples here, verbs that need a preposition. The cafe was counting on the new menu to impress its customers. The cafe was counting on the new menu to impress its customers. The head chef appealed to the manager to hire more kitchen staff. The head chef appealed to the manager to hire more kitchen staff. The cafe advertised for another chef to join the team. The cafe advertised for another chef to join the team. Let's now cross out the incorrect words in each sentence. They planned for a babysitter to look after their son while they went to a dinner party. We always say to plan for something. They planned for a babysitter to look after their son, to take care of their son while they went to a dinner party. Number 1, he appealed for on to the audience, asking them to stop booing the actors in the play. He appealed to the audience, asking them to stop booing the actors in the play. To boo someone يعني تخرج صافرات استهجان. Number 2, she always shouts for on to him when he doesn't take the dog for a walk. As we said earlier, she always shouts to shout at someone. Him when he doesn't take the dog for a walk. Number 3, you should wait for on to Jane to arrive before talking to Max about this important issue. You should wait for Jane. Wait for Jane to arrive before talking to Max about this important issue. Number 4, I'm sure that I can count for on to you to support your boss at this difficult time. I'm sure that I can count on you يعني نعمل عليك to support your boss at this difficult time. Number 5, I've arranged the doctor to see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. I've arranged for the doctor to see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Number 6, my children never listen me when I tell them what to do. My children never listen to me. When I tell them what to do. Let's see some verbs now followed by to or ing. And there's no change in meaning here, whether you can use to or you can use ing, it's the same thing. Some verbs can be followed by a gerunds in ing form or to infinitive with little or no change in meaning. You can often use both forms interchangeably. Emails are really awkward. I prefer meeting in person or to meet in person. I like working in an open plan office with a team, or I like to work in an open plan office with a team. Match the beginnings of the sentences to the correct endings. These verbs can all be followed by to or ing with no change in meaning. Remember that. Oh no, it's a James. Once he starts talking, he never stops. Oh no, it's a James. Once he starts talking, he never stops. Number 1. He was fired because he continued to ignore his duties. He was fired because he continued to ignore his duties. Number 2. How would you propose to raise the money? How would you propose to raise the money? Raise money is like to collect money. Number 3. I was so late that I began to run for the bus. I was so late that I began to run for the bus. Number 4. Let's go inside. I really can't stand being cold and wet. Let's imagine it is raining, so let's go inside. I really can't stand I really can't stand being cold and wet. Number 5. I have to say that I prefer writing to people by hand. I have to say that I prefer writing to people by hand. Let's see now verbs followed by to or ing, but there is a change in meaning here, so we have to be careful. Some verbs change their meaning depending on the form of the verb that follows them. He stopped to talk to her in the office before lunch. Here, he stopped to talk to her. He was walking around the office and he stopped so that he could talk to her. But here, she stopped talking to him and rushed to a meeting. She stopped talking to him. She was talking to him and she stopped in order to do something else. So you see, it's very, very different. Let's see further examples with verbs followed by to or ing but with a change in meaning. In general, the infinitive is used to describe an action that comes after that of the main verb. The gerund is often used for an action that happens before or at the same time as that of the main verb. So فما واحدة بعد الverb فما واحدة لا، يا إما قبل يا إما أثناء الverb. Let's see now. Let's start with verb plus infinitive and then verb plus gerund. She forgot to send the email, so her team never received the update. She forgot to send the email. She did not send the email. On the other hand, we have she forgot sending the email. So she sent it a second time. She forgot that she had already sent the email. لولا نسيت باش تبعث الثانية نسيت اللي هي بعثت. Okay, so it's a big difference. He went on to write the report Once the meeting had finished, he went on to write the report. He finished a meeting and then wrote the report. On the other hand, we have he went on writing the report all evening. It took hours. Means he was writing the report and continued to do so. I regret to tell you the unhappy news. Your flight has been delayed. I have to tell you unhappy news and I'm sorry about this. Okay? It's like I'm afraid to tell you. I regret to tell you, or I'm afraid to tell you when you want to say something bad, bad news, unhappy news. We have to say this sometimes. It's a very nice and polite and formal way to say it. I regret telling you the unhappy news. I can see it has upset you. I wish I hadn't told you the unhappy news because you are very upset now. Did you remember to meet David? Your meeting was scheduled for today. Do you remember to meet David? You were supposed to meet David. Did you remember to do that? On the other hand, did you remember meeting David? I had forgotten that we had already met him. You had met David before. Did you remember that? Let's now cross out the incorrect words in each sentence. We regret to inform you that the hotel will be closed for refurbishment. Number 1. I hope you remembered the advertisement for the grand reopening in the newspaper. I hope you remember to put the advertisement for the grand reopening in the newspaper. Number 2. Unfortunately, when the hotel reopened, they had forgotten advertising or to advertise, so it was empty. Unfortunately, when the hotel reopened, they had forgotten to advertise, so it was empty. Number 3. I'll never forget the manager's face when there were no guests at the party. I'll never forget seeing the manager's face when there were no guests at the party. Number 4. Do you remember the grand opening party with Sari last year? Do you remember planning the grand opening party with Sari last year? Number 5. Do you regret Tim to promote the reopening? Do you regret asking Tim to promote the reopening? Number 6. After the initial failure, the refurbished hotel went on a huge success. After the initial failure, the refurbishment hotel went on to be a huge success. And number 7. Now it's famous and successful. The hotel will probably go on popular for many years. Now it's famous and successful. The hotel will probably go on being popular for many years. That's it for today. Thank you so much for your attention and see you soon. Goodbye.